Coming up on Tech Edge, the world of viruses. Welcome to Tech Edge. I'm Amanda Hall, and today we have a special guest. This is Adam Wagler. Would you like to kind of tell about yourself?
Sure. My name is Adam Wagler. I'm a multimedia instructional designer at EdMedia here at the university, and I teach advertising courses in new media here at the university as well, and I've worked on some World of Viruses apps.
Great. Can you kind of tell us about what your goals were for this project?
Sure. I'll tell you a little bit about the World of Viruses and then maybe talk about the apps that we produced for the project. The World of Viruses, it's a larger grant here at the university that looked at exploring using media and non-traditional media like comic books and radio documentaries and the sort to learn about science and specifically viruses. Part of that larger grant was an NIH stimulus grant that worked on iPad apps, transitioning the comics into applications for the iPad. And at the time, the first iPad was coming out, so it's good.
So how long did it really take you to develop these?
The first one took longer, but that's pretty par for the course. We had 2 years to complete essentially 5 apps. We had the larger grant had 5 comics, each exploring a particular virus: HIV, HPV, ocean virus, foot and mouth disease, and influenza. So the 5 viruses had individual comics that were about 10 pages each. And our goal was essentially for the stimulus grant was to create applications for essentially a print product, and then how can we make it an interactive experience. So what we did was take really the first 6 months to really figure out what we wanted to do as far as how are we going to build it into an application. You know, it's obviously that we're going to swipe through and look at the comic, but what kind of interactive activities can we build into essentially a linear story and learn more about the particular virus that the comic's exploring.
Okay, and how did you kind of come about your research? Like how did you find all the stuff that you needed?
Sure. So the project itself was a huge mashup of different disciplines. There was myself, at the time I was at the College of Journalism and Mass Comm as kind of a front-end graphic design person. We worked with a group called Red Brain here at the university that's essentially made up of programmers at computer science, so it's a small group inside of the university that did the programming. We had science content experts that knew the viruses themselves and that sort of thing, so each comic had a different expert that we contacted and made sure everything was scientifically correct. We also had kind of the project coordinator that took care of everybody and wrangled everybody. And then we had some researchers as well. So we had kind of all the different disciplines involved. And I suppose we also had illustrator for the comic and the actual writer for the comic. So it was a large group for each project, but we ended up with 5 apps, and they're pretty interesting, I think.
Great. Can you show us some of those apps?
Sure.
Okay.
So each app actually covers 4 of the standards for science and learning about viruses in Nebraska. The first being, what is a virus? How does it infect the cell? How is it transmitted? And then how does it reproduce? So they are set on the standards. Each app kind of follows a traditional, work through the comic like a traditional comic book, so you can slide through it. But it also includes an audio track that is professionally produced by a group called Soundprints in Maryland that produces NPR documentaries, has sound effects, has a professional actors doing the voiceovers, and it reads the comic as you go through it. So as you're scrolling through it, you can read the comic just traditionally, but then each page that has an activity tries to build on what that piece of content inside that page is actually getting at. So in this case, the storyline shows aliens coming down and checking the atmosphere of Earth. And this, you can essentially see what the different parts of the Earth's atmosphere is made up of, and if you run the analysis, it actually gives you that feedback. So they're all very short, quick, succinct activities. that are based on the particular content inside the comic itself. In this case, for HIV, it essentially explores people living with HIV, so it goes back to 1990 and then shows the historic numbers for each continent as far as how many people are living with HIV over time. Each app actually includes similar activities that are kind of basic and get at some of the basic standards we were wanting. We call it Inside the Virus, so in this case, Inside HIV. You see an illustration that was developed here at UNL of the virus itself, and when you tap on it once, you can kind of see the actual inside part of the virus, the different elements that make up a virus, and then the actual labels. So again, a little bit further what is actually inside the virus itself. And then when you tap on it again, you get a little bit more information. So it's essentially user-driven. I want a little bit more information, and they can get as much as they actually want. And for teachers, you can kind of use it as much as you'd like as well. In this app, there is animation of the infection and some more statistics and interactive graphs that you can use. Also, all the apps include a professionally written essay that get at a particular additional aspect of the topic that's being discussed. And then the grant itself was really exploring can we use comic books to kind of learn as much about viruses as a traditional textbook. And our grant took that a little bit further to say, can we use a comic book and then embed interactive activities on the iPad to learn equally amount about viruses as you would from a traditional textbook. So it's really kind of a hook to get younger folks interested in science in a different way. And the apps are geared toward junior high to high school level, so you can use these as part of a class. But we've also seen a lot of folks interested in these apps from the public health aspect. So folks that are living with these viruses or actually experiencing these viruses, whether it's them personally contracting these viruses or family members or friends or people that they know or work with dealing with these. So you can find more information about the apps themselves on our website at worldofviruses.unl.edu. And all the apps are free for download at the iTunes Store. If you just search for World of Viruses, there are 5 total comic book apps that you can download for free.
Well, I want to thank Adam for coming in. The apps are really great and interesting.
Thanks.
And thanks for watching Tech Edge.